Yo, 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 yo. We are in the building once again.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Look at this crew tonight.
welcome back. This is episode 96 of the Producer Lounge, folks. For our new listeners, this is our show about music production. We sit here and we hang out with the boys, fellow producers, just ourselves sometimes, and we're just going to chat about what we're doing in the studio, what we're learning, share with y'all. Hopefully you do the same, and we all learn together.
Yeah.
These headphones look really small in my head right now.
They're so tiny.
They're very small.
That's what we do.
Tiny cuties.
Yeah.
I know, they're cute.
They match
It's
your
so
beanie.
indie.
They match your beanie.
They do. They do.
Your word is very correct.
Yes.
They're so indie.
Yeah.
That is the correct way to say that what these headphones look like. They do look indie, indeed. Folks,
Those
welcome
are a
back.
bargain, those.
For $20, they sound like
20
trash
bucks.
right now. It sounds like I'm listening
Yeah.
through a fucking
Garbage
dumpster.
can.
Yeah. Which, honestly, for $20 though, like I was
Expected.
saying before the pod, way before the pod, yesterday, you know, you buy a pair of these for a DJ gig, you know, they're $20 or $25. Like, what happens if they break? Fucking bring 3 pairs.
Yeah.
Just keep them in the box in your bag.
Doesn't even really matter
Like,
at that
who
point.
cares? And then at the end, like, if you want to have fun, fucking just throw them into the crowd. And everybody's like,
Oh my god, I got their headphones.
yeah, like, but they're fucking J-Labs, you know, like whatever the fuck that brand is.
Yeah. You guys should have done that on Thursday. One of your friends could have got the headphones.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Folks, welcome back. Today we are joined by none other than our most special of guests, Northeast Heights. Welcome back.
Howdy, howdy.
What's up, buddy?
How are you?
I'm good. How have
Good,
you guys
dude.
been?
This
We're
is
doing
like
good.
your 20th episode with us.
At least,
Yeah.
son.
No,
Legend of
He
the
is
stream.
he is an
Reigning champ.
honorable mention into the Always 400 crew at this point. Like, he's just there.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even need to
Yeah.
rank him.
We
Yeah.
should probably put him on payroll, if
Probably.
we're being honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
probably fair.
We can talk to the big dogs up top. They'll probably let him in, I'm sure.
Right.
You mean us?
Right.
I'm just like, who?
There's somebody above us.
We are the big dogs.
Guys. Jesus is above us. Let's be honest, okay?
He does sign the checks.
Quick shout out. Yeah, I mean, Jesus runs the whole
I send my
show.
praises to Allah. Thank you very much.
Shout out to Jet. What's up, Jet? Welcome back. And shout
Hey,
out
what's
to
up, Jet?
Aznadel. He says, I'm the real Aznadel.
Interesting.
Welcome in to the chat, folks.
Oh, that's pretty good.
If you're listening to this on YouTube, or watching this rather, this is live. Come hang out every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time at
Yeah.
our YouTube. It is basically youtube.com/always400 or always400.com. Has all those links.
Yep. And you just fucking smash all the buttons
Yeah,
that people
please.
tell you to smash.
Please do that.
And, share it with friends.
That's huge.
We have 0 commercials. We do not promote this shit.
Well,
Is that a sad noise?
we do have commercials,
He's all bummed for
but they're always 400 commercials.
No,
you know?
Is self-produced commercial?
I'm not aware of any of these.
Sometimes we'll take commercial breaks, and then we're right
Sure,
back.
sure, sure.
the on-stream commercial
I
breaks.
see,
Yeah.
I see.
It's a terrible promo. I
Okay.
was like, please subscribe sometime.
It's like off to a commercial break. Zoom, 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 zoom.
Exactly.
And we're back.
And we're back.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Not often, but every once in a while, we take a commercial.
But we do have paid sponsors. It's just us.
Yeah.
That's right.
We're the sponsors. We pay ourselves
Correct.
to promote our own
Correct.
thing. It's a good
Austin,
system.
you got something coming out?
Dude.
I believe you do.
might have something coming out tomorrow.
Aznadel.
Asian
coming out.
Adele.
Tobacco?
Fucking-
Asian Adele.
The Asian
just
Adele
just
himself.
like vape, yeah, nicotine. Fucking I'm releasing a song tomorrow. I'm super pumped on this song.
With to collab with Fuckhouse, right?
Yes.
Let's
yeah.
go. Shout out Fuckhouse.
Shout out Fuckhouse. These guys are super cool. They're releasing a bunch of like just crazy left field bass music, and they liked my stuff and they wanted me to be a part of it.
That's sick.
I feel honored and
Hell yeah.
pumped on this release.
Shout out.
Feels like a not like a more official, but I don't know, something like feels different about this one where it's like we're doing like the little promo runs before it. Everyone's getting hyped. They're sending it out to all of their guys to, send it out to all of their guys.
Right. Well,
it's cool.
Shout out the Fuckhouse Massive, dude.
Yeah.
How did you get connected with those
Big
boys?
up.
So actually through Twitch, they were doing a little bit of like live feedback streams basically. And the first one they ever did, I happened to be online because I'm on that shit constantly. I love doing that. And they were on, and I sent a track and they were super pumped on it. And we have just kind of been talking since then.
Fuck yeah. Was it that track that they're going to release? The one that you sent in for
No,
for
the first one was
cool.
Bioluminescent.
Oh, okay.
Which actually, it's funny, it wasn't even released at the time, which was kind of cool. But yeah.
Sheesh.
And it was eventually they told me after they wanted me to release a track with them, they were like, yeah, the feedback thing was to only like scout artist basically.
Of course.
Yeah, it was a scouting thing where they were just like, is there anyone cool out there?
Any label or like big promotional company that's going to do a feedback, that's definitely, they're just throwing out a net.
Yeah, they're throwing out the net and they're
which
like,
is fair.
Yeah, there's a
like,
big fish.
That's
a good way to do it.
That's exactly what you do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No,
So
hey.
you drum up fans in the meantime. Like,
Correct.
Yeah.
why not?
And even if not, you can kind of just tell like the cream of the crop, right? Like you guys have done your feedback streams, and I don't know if you got any like good submissions or anything like that. But
You
it's
can
just
kind of tell by the end of the
you
night.
can just tell where it's just like, oh, when you get to a certain level, it's just like you put in so much work and like so much effort to even like get it to a quality of this. So it's just like, I fuck with you,
Right.
like
Correct.
unless you plagiarize this and this isn't your work, which hopefully it's not. You can't
Right. It's
assume
kinda
that out of
hard.
anybody.
Right.
But it's just like, I'll take it at face value where it's just like, oh, I know it's hard to come out with something of quality and something of quality that's original, where it's just like, oh, that's just cool. Like, no, I know you're getting it. I know you're getting it,
Correct.
boy.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, a big thing, and we've talked about this on the show too, is like the authenticity is so huge. So huge. Like if you've put in the work and you've put in the grind,
Put in the hours.
and
It's all about drive. It's all about power.
and set that bad boy into overdrive, and it's authentic. Like you're just making cool shit that you like to make, and it's you're not. There's no angle. There's like no clear plagiarism or anything. Like people can feel that.
Yeah, you could feel it.
They can read it pretty quick that they're like, oh, this is actually legit. Like it's pretty easy when you listen to somebody bullshitting versus somebody who's being authentic, even if they're at the same level. Like you can kind of be like, this track A has just got like just a too much pompous energy. Like it's pretty. I don't know. It feels to me like it's pretty easy to see. Maybe I'm jaded to it. I don't know, but I feel like, and I've heard this from a lot of people, like authenticity is just fucking. It speaks.
yeah.
It's crazy. It's almost like the flex in a song, right? Like
Right,
where it's just like, I feel like a lot of like developing songs, especially as like not that I'm a songwriter, I'm not saying that, but like
You are.
Song development as a songwriter, where it's just like a lot of parts is like finding how to keep the simplicity of an idea. I feel like, do you guys experience that
100%.
now? Where it's just like you're kind of teetering to not fuck it up along the whole way, and then it's just like how. At least for me, it's like, how simply can I get this idea across to resonate with nobody, like initially besides me, like hopefully with people, like is the end goal. But it's just like, oh, how can I just like, you're getting to the purest form of an idea. I feel like so much is like refining and chiseling away just to get to like, not the most flexed out version of a project or a song. It's usually often like tamed back from what it was.
Correct.
Into a final product.
Yeah, I have 2 notes here that are specifically related to what you're saying.
Go on.
Which I can go into that if you want.
Do it.
I wrote down simplicity in mud pies, which is a thing that I enjoy. Is like, and I've been recently finding it and trying to like kind of hone this side of things. Is like making mud pies, but making them to be a very specific thing for me to be able to go and use and fuck up more later. But I just like, let's see, a couple examples. I've been doing on Phase Plant they have the newest phase plant has LFO tables.
Oh my God! Yeah.
So like a wavetable, it's the exact same thing, but it's an LFO. So you can sweep between like
Shapes.
a pluck to like a wub,
Right.
kind of a
So
LFO
sick.
shape, you know. And so I'll throw one of those on whatever thing that I want, and then I'll randomize the table. So it's just always giving me a different
Right.
volume.
You can
or
also-
filter automation or pitch automation.
Right. You
But
can
it's
edit
simple.
that, right? Too. You can edit those
Oh, yeah.
wavetables.
Oh, yeah.
So you can.
Yeah, you can make your own.
Right. So you can make it do something specific
Mm-hmm.
if you want on the pitch every whatever. Yeah. Okay. okay
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so building yourself a mud pie that's like, it's a fairly simple patch of like a saw wave or a square
A
wave
bleep
or
bloop
whatever,
or whatever,
maybe
yeah.
some FM, and then having randomness, doing a few things to those things, whatever oscillators you have, and then having LFOs that do whatever it is, pitch, volume, filtering, all the random
Right.
things to create movement, and just to have like to have just a variety of differently pitched and moving things that are all kind of based on the same thing.
Right. Right.
Is
So they're
sick.
all like rooted together,
Mhm.
and 85% of the mud pie is then usable because it's all family,
Mm-hmm.
kind of so to speak, because it's so simple to start with, and you're choosing the correct things to modulate. Basically, like that's
Yes.
one thing you get after mud pined for a certain amount of time.
True.
Is you kind of like figure out like, okay, if I fucking modulate fucking this crazy parameter or whatever, like I never really get anything out of it. There's like a couple moments I do, but it's just too wily. Where like you kind of start to hone it down and you're like, oh, it just needs to be a simple bleep bloop. Or at least specifically you're like making a track like you were saying, and then you're like, I need a lead. Obviously that lead isn't going to be just a fucking wall of sound Reese or wall of sound pushed sine into a tube drive that's just the whole time. Like that's
Those are usually not
Different.
the sounds to like mud pie.
no. And like, yeah, those are the sounds just to make a quick shot out of. And you can like, after you've mud pied a couple
You
times,
tailor it.
yeah. And after you've mud pied a couple times, either you can go back to that mud pie and it has all the sounds you need and you're going to make every time you make the mud pie. It's like always the same.
Right.
Or you just learn the techniques to make that into a one shot and not have to mud pie to get there every time.
Right.
But
Go ahead.
further upon that, if you just know you're going to make a lead, then you can mud
Right.
pie just a saw wave with just pitch modulation and filter modulation and flavors of that kind of varietal.
Volume
And just-
automation.
yeah, and just stick
any
it there.
Kinda,
And then all you
Yes.
need is like a couple different versions, and then boom, you're done. Now you have all the fucking shit.
yeah,
you
and then
need.
you can go back and you can use throughout the tune. Your lead can be doing slightly different shit
Sure.
because it's all a piece of the same thing, but it's a little bit different because the notch filter was slightly in a
Right.
different spot than it was on this other hit that you did it or that you used
Mm-hmm.
from your mud pie. And that kind of shit, like, it's
sauce.
yeah.
Once you start getting natural tension from just how you like made the noises and how
Right,
you recorded
right.
them, where it's like it's not intentional tension, but it's tension might
is
be the wrong
natural.
word. I also don't know if it's dissonance, but where it's just like something's different because you just recorded two different hits. Let's say it's the same note, just to make it an easy example, where it's just like, oh, this one was recorded, and because we had a random parameter, the first note is going to be filtered at 100 dB less than like when the filter opens up on the second one. And even though that's repetitive and that's why it's recorded, it's ingrained in the audio. And that actually brings up an interesting like perspective. I love kind of like moving forward and committing to an idea,
100%.
right? Like when you like
the best.
force yourself where it's just like, oh, you do kind of commit to it. And even if it's a small change where it's just like you wouldn't even audibly necessarily perceive that, the impact that it has on a song. Like that's the fingerprint, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the fingerprint where it's
Right.
just like, oh, okay, even a repetitive thing. Let's say a hat. That's actually probably a good example where it's just like, instead of a stagnant hat, you just recorded it a certain way where it's like randomizing any parameter just slightly.
The attack.
It's ingrained in the audio. You commit to it, and it's just like, oh, that's part of a song. It's your fingerprint. It's fucking good. Like, it doesn't need like.
Yeah.
Not every hat needs to be an expression of like your self-worth. You know what I mean? Like artistically, what you're trying to do. Like,
Yeah, as long as you like breathe.
Fucking amazing.
Hilarious.
As long as you can like,
what's this hat saying about me as a person right now?
Yeah.
it's saying you need to be more
That's
expressive.
so funny.
Yeah, as long as you have some kind of fucking like you've touched everything, like you've
Right.
goosed everything and shown love to each little bit. Mm-hmm. Doesn't really matter how much or little it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful thought to me. Where it's just like when you think about like touching everything, where it's just like it's also kind of not touching it. Where it's just like, oh, okay, like I fucked with you, and now
Right.
I'm cool.
Talking
with
about
it.
touching things and fucking things.
There we go. We got it. I think. Is everybody good?
Are we back? Yeah, I'm back.
Good. Back in action.
I'm slightly back. All right. Sorry, folks.
That's the first technical hiccup I've experienced on this show. Does that happen?
No, that
Yes.
was a. No,
I mean, that specific
two
thing
answers
has
there.
never happened, but
Yeah.
things always happen. You know this.
Yes.
You
Dude,
work
I've
in
been-
AV, bro.
It's been oh yeah,
You know how it goes.
oh yeah, you guys are
Nothing works.
legs above the
Yeah.
AV that I'm offering.
Yeah, we played a show on Thursday, and the mixer's filter section didn't work.
Yep.
Didn't work at all. So we were just
And the cue buttons.
out there with EQs.
The cues and the play
That's it.
buttons on both CDJs were finicky. Like when you would like hit play, when you needed to, sometimes it wouldn't work.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And there's no beat jump, so you can't just like wait 4 bars then hit it and like move it. There's
Right.
none of
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And then on his CDJ on the left side, his like cue point C didn't work.
Yeah.
Which we had set
So
up.
one of 3.
We had
did
set
not
up
work.
8 cue points for every single track, which is like 192 tracks on that fucking USB. It took us like an hour.
Yeah.
And we get there, and of course, there's CDJ 2000s, and they only have 3 cue points. We're like,
You're like, sweet.
so
of
it's
course.
like it's like the first 8 bars of every song we have cue points for. We're like, fuck me.
Yep.
But yeah,
Yep.
technical difficulties always.
Yeah, but we played some of Vic's tracks at our show.
They sounded great.
I mean, he wasn't there, but he's usually there, so we'll give him a
We'll give him
break.
benefit
I mean,
of
he's
the
like one of the most guested
true.
podcasters,
Yeah.
In
or
history,
whatever.
probably.
one of the most.
He has the heavyweight belt to prove it.
Yeah, it's true.
That's true.
He's earned his right to not show up.
Well, that's true.
By like, yeah. Anyway,
I was bummed I couldn't. Honestly,
You're good, dude.
I had like
I know. I'm making fun for fun.
I know you're making fun, but it's just like, yeah, I had like an actual like work meeting, and I work from home, so I typically don't. Or I'm just like, fuck, I don't really trust myself at like 1 a.m.
Right. I wouldn't. I would have done the exact.
Good call. Yeah.
I would have done the exact same thing.
More of a reflection of myself than you guys.
right.
I mean,
yeah.
another thing is, personally, when like a homie's like, "Yo, I'm gonna play a show Saturday night," you're like, "Sick. What time do you play?" They're like, "Midnight." I'm like,
No, I would have
Right.
That's wrong. I disagree. I would have been there 100%.
No, you would. You would.
yeah, you would.
Yeah.
You would, but most people aren't.
Right.
And when I invited everybody, I was like, it's at midnight. Don't worry about it.
Correct.
Like, if you want to come, but like, no worries. But thank you for the tunes that we were going to play. Because it was fun playing a bunch of the boys' tunes. We played one of Restraint's tunes without his permission.
Haha, suck it, John.
I did tell him, but
He's probably furious, dude.
That's actually rad. I worked hard. I sent you guys like a bunch of fucking
Yeah,
things.
you did.
Like, Jesus.
yeah.
yeah, no doubt.
I was working on like
And they were sick, dude. They fucking
They bang.
they Yeah.
I think we
they
played
hit
3.
the club hard as fuck.
I think we hit 3. We missed one that I really wanted to, but I couldn't remember the fucking name. And there's a couple of your tracks where they're either in the 120s or 140s. That's basically where you're
getting
and you
That's
don't
exactly what we were just
know.
talking
You
about.
don't know if you're getting techno. There's a couple of them where it's like techno, and you're like, all right, that's clearly techno. But there are a couple of them that you don't know if it's just fuck you halftime or if it's like techno. And you don't know up until it drops. Like you have no idea.
Like the most
It's like pretty and melodic and whatever, and then it just
The most fuck you halftime.
like the most halftime. Like you're gonna get sleepy. It's going slow.
It's crazy.
and it's like,
Yeah. Yeah. With just 808s.
yeah,
It's great.
it's amazing.
That's exactly what it is.
But they're great. They slapped in the club. I'm telling you guys, dry music in the club. Fuck off with these fucking
yeah, people,
radio edits.
get with it.
While we're off topic, real quick, Jet has a question.
We don't need to readdress pop punk again.
No, but I want to have I want to talk about it just real quick.
All right,
Just real quick.
Fine.
We'll address it.
Caleb,
go.
go.
Go. Okay. I'm Jet says pop punk was revived last year,
No, it
in
wasn't.
his opinion. And it was getting a lot of attention last year
damn,
because of
guys.
Machine Gun Kelly.
It wasn't.
Oh, I remember this.
It was not revived.
No, it was not revived. But I remember Machine Gun Kelly being hot on TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't. My Chemical Romance. I don't see that, and Avril Lavigne. I don't see that. But is pop punk still alive in 2023? Your second comment is the correct answer to your question.
Yes.
That's basically
Yeah. It's worth even like sticking to that as an idea.
now.
Just abandon pop punk.
Well, I will give a little bit of. I'm going to give a little bit of gas to him.
All right.
I'm going to give him a little bit of gas.
light him up. Light him up.
I'm going to give him a little bit of gas
Fuel him up.
because anybody who's like jazzed on an idea,
Sure.
and they think there's like some juice there, I think they should go with squeezing.
Oh, squeeze that juice out.
Right.
Yeah.
And if
100%.
you're jazzed about whatever vibe you like about pop punk and like you think there's an idea and a way for you to like bedroom pop it or make some kind of electronic version of bedroom pop, like, because I don't know what your plan is. Like, that's the weird thing when you ask these kind of questions. Like, are you trying to produce pop punk alone in your bedroom? Like, you just trying to like sing and play guitar and like write songs? Then like fucking do it.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
100%.
Go for it.
Are you
Sure.
trying to like sample pop punk and like make it into like rave music or something? Or are you trying to just like
Hyperpop.
take the vibe of it, and turn it into something new and fresh with like the lyrics of the genre or something? So my takeaway for this is like figure out exactly what you're trying to do with like why you like pop punk. Are you just trying to like
Right.
if you just want to mix it, then like go online and like find indie pop punk bands that are out there and be like, hey, can you mind sending me stems? I'd like to try mixing your track. Like, and just try mixing it if that's what your goal is.
Yeah.
If you're trying to make it, watch a bunch of videos on how to fucking make pop punk and then just like record it on a 4-track fucking recorder or on your computer, like however, like you do electronic music or whatever.
But
But
just tell somebody to record on a 4-track instead of their computer.
if you're trying to make a specific vibe, yeah. Because like there's no other way to get that fucking 4-track feel unless you're recording on a 4-track.
Do you guys have like a lot of beef with pop punk? Is this a recurring theme?
No, I mean, personally, I hate it.
Jet just always
He has brought it up
brings
a
up
couple
pop
times.
punk.
He has brought it up a couple
likes
times.
to
He's a
bring
pop
it
punk
up.
guy.
But I'm
Yeah.
trying to get at what he's trying
this
to do.
is time 3 or 4.
Correct.
Yeah. No, I mean, what you really want to do is you want to take that like feeling that you have, that
The
like
angst.
that it makes you feel creative, but it's like that pop punk version of it, and you want to just like bury it deep, like dig, like I don't know. I think you need more than 6 feet on this one. I think you need to like take that thing and you just
9 feet.
you burn it.
Aw.
You throw it in the.
We love you, Jet.
I like
We love you, Jet.
I
Pop
like-
punk's
with cement.
awful,
I
though.
like pop punk.
I hate it, but I also like anybody that gets inspired by something. Like I'm down.
Yeah.
And I want to, but you also have to figure out like what the fuck you're trying to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I love
the reason all genres die is because they stopped developing and evolving the sound.
Right.
That's why rock died. That's why pop punk died. I don't think it had that comeback. Like maybe because you're in the scene you saw, but none of us saw it, so I don't think it did.
I think MGK sold
None of
like
us saw it,
millions
so
of
I-
records, dude. I don't think we're like the definitive source to talk about pop punk.
We definitely aren't. Yeah.
No, exactly.
like,
we're not a pop punk podcast.
We're definitely
Yeah.
not going to be a lot of help on
Yeah,
this.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're-
correct.
That's
Yeah.
a big thing. You're kind of asking the wrong guys. Like, yes, this is a music production podcast, but it's
I
music
mean, we are
production.
in
Like,
the
we're-
era.
Yeah.
Like, we were there
Yeah,
for it
and I hated it.
when it started.
Right.
We were there.
Yes,
Yeah.
So we're not terrible people to talk about.
that's true.
you know,
but we're
and
not
it
in
did
the scene.
die.
A glorious death.
Yes,
It was
like
beautiful.
it's just not necessary.
Yeah.
We don't need to. We don't need to worry about it.
But that's Jet. We love you. I would just say figure out what you're trying to do with it.
sound part.
Like, yeah, that was the best.
I could
Yeah.
I could reference a pop punk song and make a goddamn banger. By the way,
Yeah. You could
I
do
take
it.
I could take a pop punk song and make a fucking banger.
Teenage,
I believe it. Actually, I believe it.
call it teenage angst.
And it would blow up. It would be the song of the summer.
Yeah,
But it's also you don't want to do that.
I'm not
do
doing that. I wouldn't. It would not even sound like pop punk at all, though. If I did that,
Well, that
I would just
to be
use
inspired by it.
things. I would use arrangement. I would use
right. I mean, there's
aspects of like what amount of things are happening at the same time.
There's so
and,
many
like,
things involved.
Tempo, like
Great
There's-
lyrics.
There's so many things.
fucking whining.
Yeah.
That was the
Oh
Aurora
my
track I
gosh.
just made. I was all hyped on
Right.
fucking like Nightcore and
Yeah, that's right.
all those like classic like cheesy song like Bass Hunter and Scooter that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But like I didn't want to just like go and fucking like do that thing, you know. But you take
Yeah.
that vibe and you
Correct.
implement it in a new way, in a fun way, in
Correct.
your way, like. And
Yeah.
it was way cooler the way I
It's
did it.
way
Like,
better.
Yeah.
You basically you update the sound.
You update it. Yeah.
You make it, but you also filter it. You're filtering it through you, your musical experience. So it's going to be slightly different. And if you have a cool music experience, most of the time people are like, "Oh, this is sick." Like, I like the way you spun this. Basically,
yeah.
like that's why good music is dope. Is because an artist takes like an idea that they've found that they think is cool, and they fucking put their spin on it.
Right.
And you have whatever that song is.
Exactly.
Like, which is possible to do with pop punk.
That's such
I
a,
just have not heard it yet.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
such an interesting point because just like what I've come to realization with my music, and I'd love to like hear about your guys' perspective as well. It's just like I feel so comfortable in it right now, especially because it's just like it's so ingrained in like what I was influenced by. You know, like it's just taking so many influences, and it feels like so me. It's just like I love that, right? Where it's just like a little
Fuck
bit
yeah.
of garage, a little bit like drum and bass. Like, are you guys getting
Right.
there as
A
well?
little
Like,
bit of Zed's Dead.
it's just like
Yeah.
nods
Oh,
to
yeah.
all of it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I
It's-
can sense all the nods.
Totally.
Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And it's so
And
so
they're-
cool when you like start to find it in your own way because you're like, oh, these are all of my influences, but this is also like me, and it feels
Right.
comfortable, you know. I'm definitely not fully there, but every day I'm like, oh,
sure.
this is a little bit. I'm
I
feeling
think-
a little more.
It's an interesting topic, right? Because that's what nobody can like fuck with. And I feel
Correct.
like I heard this on Tiga's podcast. I forget the guest he was talking about with, where
Oh.
it's just like what you're really doing
Shout
is
out
like
Tiga.
what nobody can touch. What nobody can touch is your past and like your collective
Conglomeration.
Yeah, thank
yeah,
you.
that
I
word.
I would never have got that.
Constipation.
Constipation.
Your constipation.
Get
But it just, like-
conglomerated.
of your personal taste, you know, and like once you start to ingrain that on a project, that's
Sorry. I wasn't
you
laughing
guys
at
were
you.
mean to him, honestly.
No, I
I
fucking
know,
wasn't.
right? That's a little.
I was
that's
not
a little
mean to
rough.
him.
Poor little Jet.
No, I mean, this is what I do.
Well,
I
also-
shit on the
It's-
fucking
it's
people
dead.
in chat.
Yeah.
That's what I
Also,
do.
Jet,
What do you want from me?
If you think Dave doesn't like you, that is him liking you.
Yes.
FYI.
Dave is real.
He's very honest.
Yeah, I could
That's
give
why we
you,
have him here on the pod.
Well, I also exaggerate for the podcast because it's more fun to just be like cranky
Sure.
and to just kind of always be like,
The woo.
this
I mean,
and this. Like, no,
sunshine
I
and
like to be like an
rainbows.
old man with a fucking silly opinion.
Yeah, I'm definitely
it's
more
better that way.
I'm more emotive, for sure.
So he wouldn't have dug it like 7 feet deep. It would have been like 4 feet, 3.
No, it's gone.
Exaggerated.
It's obliterated. You
Oh,
know?
no,
never
he
mind.
We're nuking
That part he
shit.
wasn't exaggerating.
No.
Put it in a bunker, and he's gonna bust that bunker.
Bunker buster.
I had a moment where I enjoyed it in my life, you know?
Pop
But
punk.
yeah,
never
there's a
did.
lot of
I
things
never
that
got
I
into
enjoyed
that.
that I don't enjoy anymore.
Yeah.
100%.
Folk music is that
like
way for me.
Like women, you know.
Wo-
I don't
women.
care anymore.
Into the guys.
You see him and you basically puke.
Hey.
Dudes. I'm actually into microwaves right now, so if anybody identifies as one of those, heat me up a meal. Let's go. So, one of the notable things that I heard from your tracks was the sense of EPROM, which I knew was going to be there, but just like there was like so many tracks where I was like, oh, this is so EPROM. Like just the fucking blatant fuck youery with the
Right, it's
sound
like-
design is just
Yeah,
It's just-
EPROM does that thing where he hits one sound
just
at a time. And it's like,
so good.
it's so aggressive. It's just like, and then, you know, it's like one sound at a time always.
Yeah, and that was a couple of your tracks. I was like, this is nice.
Yeah.
I
And
like this.
They pushed it harder, and I'd actually love to kick it with EPROM because you want to know where I think it starts from. It all comes from the frame of reference. I think EPROM loves the same like rave music that I grew up on.
Right,
It's just
right.
It's very like rave, stabby, kind of ugly. It's not high It's high fidelity because it's so simple. So like one noise can be very high fidelity,
Right.
but in terms of the noise, like when everything's stripped down in arrangement where it's only one thing, it can have a bit more defects in
Right,
it where it's
right.
still interesting. You know,
Totally.
so like I'd love to talk to EPROM about that, and like I get a lot of that, and I won't ever say that I make EPROM like G Jones music, but like what I love about them is like I think we came from the same influences of like rave music,
right,
you know,
right.
like I grew up in New Mexico, like we didn't have
and
headliners.
specifically like 2000s rave music.
Yeah, like Benny Benassi and
right,
shit.
right, where there's like random elements from the late 90s UK rave in there. Like there's some jungle, there's some hardcore, but for the most part, it's that 2000s like nearly Bloghouse. Like you're almost near the Paul Oakenfold. Like you're almost to that, but you're like just before that. Especially if you said like you had no openers or no headliners. Like it's just people DJing.
I didn't even
shows.
know where the DJ booth was.
Right, exactly.
Like,
So it's just you're up to them cultivating the tunes. So
Yep,
it's like it's so underground that it's like this very like whip centric universe almost where everything's just like fucking who cares.
Yeah, like
Kinda
the
shit.
songs don't
Oh, yeah.
necessarily need to bang. They need to bang in like that specific moment.
Right,
And that's
right.
what I've been trying to like
It's
focus.
kind of cool.
It's actually kind of an evolution I'm going. Now I got to work on some more songs, you know, now that the Northeast Heights project is developing. I got to work on an actual release, like an
Right.
EP. Like I do want people to listen to Northeast Heights music that's like well produced, but just like what I really love is just like, oh, when you guys hit me up, it's just like we need some songs to DJ. I'm like, let me just make some like loops for these
I
dudes
kinda
real
love that
quick,
shit,
you know?
too.
Like let me just
Yeah, and every time we played one of your tracks, we're like, all right, it's quick. We're like, oh.
yeah, it's fat. Like,
It's fat. It just ends
Yeah, you
real
gotta
quick.
get out
You
of it
just gotta
soon.
or loop it or like you know,
Right.
it's just
They're very loopable though.
or
obviously.
yeah, or Q,
You know, they're
Q
very
point.
simple.
You can just go from Q point D right back to A, and it just
Yeah.
gives you another.
You can just
32
start
bars.
over.
Yeah, yeah.
That's been
Basically.
that's been a super intentional decision. I'm trying to make music right now, and for the last like 2 years, I've really just been trying to make music that's good. But for the last like 6 months, where I felt like had a really good workflow, I've been really creative, and I've had a lot of time to dedicate to it. It's like, oh, I just want to make songs that I can play, and that also will have a purpose later in life. And when I say later in life, it's like things I can come back to. Once an idea is good enough to me, I'm kind of tucking them away right now.
Same.
And then it's like, I'll see you when I see you. And then I've been really active on making samples and loops and stems for myself to use, where I resample myself a lot. So, you know, let's say I'm working on a project, it's in G minor. I type in G minor. More likely than not, I'm going to find a stem that's Northeast Heights, this one. And then it's like a lot of these things get a second life from that.
That's cool. Let's go.
And then, you know, that song might not make its way. So then it goes through a second iteration where it's just like, oh, new project, G minor. The loops evolved where, and then that's kind of been leading to having my stuff. Like I feel Northeast Heights, I feel like I'm in a place in my sample collection, my music writing, and my song development where it's just
that's sick.
The next evolution
is
like
it's your bag now.
Yeah, it's my stuff I'm using.
Right, it's tight.
There's one noise, very simple, but like over time, once they get stacked on top of each other, that's like those are the noises that abrasive, but very founded in inspiration.
Right, they're
for me.
bold.
Like, you know,
they're bold. Like the the best sounds. The best sounds are the bold sounds. Those are your cool guys that that everybody remembers.
Right.
Like, like I mean, any prodigy track, like you can think of like the fucking smack my bitch up fucking track, and like the moment you listen to it, and you're like, oh yeah, this sound. You know, like there's it's you kind of want that. Like you kind of have to have the balls to have a fucking sound out front, you know, regardless of how it got there. It's a defining thing for the track.
Yeah.
Could be a vocal, I guess, but most of the time the vocal just complements whatever the main cool guy of the sound of the track is.
Right.
Like
rumble. They'll tend to work off of each other.
Rumble.
Like everybody knows the like the bottom. Yeah, the bottom fucking end of rumble. Like if you were to just like play that on its own, it's pretty obvious, and it's pretty iconic at this point.
It is a bit of a rumble.
It's only been around for like 4 weeks.
It's actually insane how fast that shit just popped off.
Yeah,
actually,
and like a lot of Skrillex's other like new songs like kind of made a wave, but for whatever reason, Rumble, everyone was just like, yes,
that's just
fucking this one.
To me, that's just good planning. They listen to the whole thing. They're like, this one's probably the dopest one. Let's just release that one first. Huge campaign. And then
got everyone pumped for it.
And then everything else is kind of just, you don't have to campaign at all. You're just like, and here's the rest of it.
Here's a bunch of content.
Yeah.
DJing all around.
Posted on my story.
Hanging out in cool places.
Yeah,
like,
and
I'm Skrillex. That's what I do anyway, so that works out.
Every DJ set he's done alone that I've watched post the album, it's like the first whole half is like the exact same every time. He's just DJing the album, basically. And he has it set up in a way where he, like, so many songs just lead into another if he DJs them right, which is just good planning. He's just, like, spent the time to be like, what tracks work together? Oh, cool. I can do it in this way, and it plays the whole album.
Right.
And I don't have to do anything but spin backs the whole time. And then he just plays, after that, all he has to do is play his bangers that everyone knows. Easy peasy. Done.
True.
Did you see what those boys did in New York?
Yeah.
I'm
with the
actually
bus.
so
I couldn't not see it.
Yeah.
That's all my feed was.
Dude, I actually have some like crazy feelings. I got a lot of love for Skrillex for what he did. I think not a lot of balls. That's the wrong word, but like I think what Skrillex did was actually very like helpful to at least the electronic kind of music that I'm making. Where it's just like, oh, you guys hear this loop stuff where it's like it can be simple and it's like single purpose for like just a club.
100%
Where it's just like I feel like Skrillex, and I'm gonna explain this after the fact. Like I feel like Skrillex, he's the segue into the mainstream, right? I feel like Skrillex said that, oh, Fortet's the coolest. And then
exactly.
they have Fred again, who's going to be the next evolution. He's a songwriter. He's just as skilled. Like
he's the
technically as
mainstream.
he's going to evolve. But like I think Skrillex did a huge nod by just being like, Fortet, you're going to be my homie. And like he got a lot of credit where it's just like these older people and just like OGs where it's just like, Fortet's dope. Fortet's dope. So like, oh, Skrillex comes into Fortet's circle, and then more importantly, I think Skrillex brought Fortet into the main circle. Where it's just like, I'm really pleased with how he presented the whole last idea of that. I think he did a lot of benefits to electronic music, especially kind of original thoughts, original music, and not necessarily focused around the banger, which was probably very hard for him to escape. I kind of love what him, Fortet, and Fred again are doing all together. Like, I'm a big fan of all of that shit, especially if you're bringing Fortet to the mainstream, because just like you're just
fucking man. Dude. Fortet's the man.
Fortet's the EPROM of that genre,
right? 100%.
Like Fortet's where it's just like, oh, a big inspiration to me. It's like, how simple can you make it? Can we make one single idea last 4 minutes?
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, exactly.
Like Fortet can.
I saw
you can make it last 8 minutes.
Yeah, I saw a TikTok where Skrillex was saying, when they were doing like Rumble and a bunch of songs on that album and everything, they would send it to Fortet and be like, okay, well, like, will it help us out with it? Like, did we overproduce this? Like, take away from here.
Beautiful.
And he would constantly just be like, you don't need this, take away that. Like, this is way too much here. What are you guys doing? Like, you're just overproducing. And he would do that. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's so fucking sick, right? And of course, like,
Fortet was slicing up the beats.
Fortet was being like a gate.
I think Fortet was being more the producer on it, just being like, this is what works.
Not even the producer necessarily, like kind of the producer. He was being like the Rick Rubin, where he was like, you're doing too much. Like, what does
that'd be a
what
producer.
Does the song really need?
That's a producer.
Yep.
Rick Rubin is
like
a classical producer. You're producing,
but
right.
It all goes.
You're
back.
directing essentially.
I have a weird like modern new age understanding of what a producer is.
Right.
Yeah. Not like making the noises. Like I was thinking more in the classical context of like somebody who's directing them, where it's just like, oh, the song's too busy, and I actually took like a lot of influence from
do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not do this, where it's just like, oh, it can hang on. You can hang on to an idea.
Or a moment.
You can hang on to an idea
longer.
or a moment. And then also, who gives a fuck? I was really pleased with like Skrillex's last release, and like, I don't mean to like, I thought a lot of it was tethered to just being like, oh, he brought up some motherfuckers. Like Fortet didn't need to be brought up, but he needed to be considered cool, and Skrillex needed to be considered original. Like I thought.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I don't mean that in like a negative context.
It's not a negative way.
Like
no,
a lot
smart.
A lot of credit went both ways.
Oh,
on that.
it was very smart. Both of them did.
I thought that, and their music together, sick. What's that one song like?
I don't know. There's a bunch.
The Sarah, is it Stara? Skrillex, Fortet. There's a couple ones. There was one with Boys Noise as well. Both of those songs are very amazing. Where it's just like, not just bangers, man. Like that's good. That's good dance music.
Andy did stuff with like the Noisier crew, which makes me happy because he did stuff with Angel Blade, which is Nick from Noisia. He did a track with Tice from Noisia, and then he also did a track with Posai, who is he's the producer of the Vision Radio, and he has his own shit. He's fucking sick as fuck.
Is Tice Sleepnet? That's
Nick.
That's Nick.
Tice is just Tice. THYS.
Okay. Tice is Tice.
Tice.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Yep, Tice.
I thought it was Thij.
No. it's say TYS.
Let's go.
Say TYS, Ties.
Tice.
Yeah, and then add a little bit in there. Tice. Tice.
Thij.
You just a squash.
One of the things that gets me
German
like
shit.
really, really pumped on Skrillex and like his recent release is he's one of these dudes who has his fingers in like a lot of different genres, and he likes producing a lot of different styles. Like he can be banger guy, he can be sad boy emotional guy, he can be pretty, he can be hypey, he can be mellow. And that gets me pumped that like somebody at that level can be like, no, I don't have to just do like this one style.
Right.
And especially like purely just for me, because like as you guys know, I love doing like I can't like fucking figure out one lane to be in.
Yeah.
I just can't.
So
it's good to know that.
What can you not figure out?
It's not that I can't figure it out, but like I just really struggle with being like I want to just do this one genre and like fully fucking like give my all to it, you know?
Right.
Like I can't just commit to bass
But
music,
what makes
or I can't
Skrillex
just commit to like
his music is so obvious when you hear vocal chops.
Yes.
That's
like
true.
that's all it needs. Like it's not genre based. If you start the project not genre based, then you don't have to stay genre based.
That's
Like,
the thing,
he
yeah.
started dubstep, but he also kind of like came out of an ever evolving genre. Like it's just tear out dubstep, so it wasn't even.
And also, he
rhythm
didn't
yet.
even start dubstep. Like, he got popular from his dubstep. He was in a fucking pop
Well,
punk band.
sure, in terms of that, but
We've
his,
gone
but
It
full
his-
wasn't
circle.
pop punk.
but this,
Was it not?
No, it was
metal.
Yeah, it was emo.
It was not
heavy
metal.
metal.
Yeah, it was hardcore.
Was it metal?
Yeah.
It wasn't metal. It was screamo music.
Yeah, which is hardcore.
Okay.
It was,
Hardcore.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I don't
do you
think I
guys? Do
actually-
you guys feel? Do you feel genre restricted? Do you like make music and? Do you feel genre restricted at all?
What do you mean by genre restricted? Like, do I
Where
feel
it's
like
just you can't make anything? Do you guys like feel like you only make one genre specifically well?
Specifically, well, no,
I don't think I
no.
make any genre specifically well. I think that's why I try a bunch of
That's
genres.
the honest answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I mean, Party B, I know like it needs to sit somewhere between like 130 and 150 now.
Party B would make a
well,
banger.
I think
180
Party
now.
B is whatever.
yeah,
Let's
Party B would make a
go.
banger
I
120.
think
agree.
Party B is like
Party B is kinda whatever.
It's kind of whatever. It will have some very specific qualities.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to commit. Like we talk about this. Obviously, we've talked about it before on the podcast. Go back and listen to old episodes. But you like this idea of like I just make everything. I am the one name, and I enjoy a version where it's like I'm gonna make 10 projects, and I like to be specific with each of the projects what they get as far as all the things go. Artwork, naming, blah blah blah,
Genre
blah.
or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an aesthetic thing for me,
Right. Right.
Which is what I feel like Party B is.
Yeah.
it's like
It's a troll.
we
aesthetic.
started out in a genre, sure, but these days it's kind of fucking all over the place. But it has some very key components.
Right.
That's how I feel about Northeast Heights, where it's just like I can make a song at 128, but that's going to be influenced by the people that I listen to at 128. That's like 4 on the floor music, or like kind of a weird breakbeat music, or maybe like some really slow out there left field like trap
Right.
music,
Right.
or it's genre specific, but it's somewhat limited, where it's by my taste.
It's in a
and
box.
like each BPM.
Well, it's limited by the way you make sounds, at least.
Yeah.
You know, you're kind of going to make the same sounds, or you're going to make sounds in the same way a lot of the time. So it doesn't really matter what you make. It kind of you're getting the same sonic quality, which I think Skrillex has a little bit
Yeah,
of that going
for
for
sure.
himself too. Where it's like one Skrillex song to another, whether it's a fucking heavy ass tune or not, they kind of have a little bit of the same vibe
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not really sure what to put my finger on.
They
but
both
Yeah,
are
totally.
too slammed on the L2.
they are slammed.
I get what you mean though. It's just like I've been making some drum and bass music recently, where it's just like
Go on.
it's minimal fucking drum and bass music. Like
Right.
it's my taste in drum and bass music. It's not
Yeah,
it's not
Yeah.
noisia.
yeah,
like-
that's what we did recently.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I get it.
Same, and both of them are 4 on
Yeah.
the floor, 176.
we showed you those, right? Those
Yeah, did-
DMB tunes.
Did we
that
show
made?
you our?
Show me
DMB tracks?
again.
Oh, we'll do it
We'll show you
after.
again, yeah.
We'll do it
A
after
little
the pod.
listening
We got
party.
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got some heaters coming out for y'all soon.
Oh, I'm so
Got some
excited. My body's ready.
Yeah, well,
can't
first one's first. You're released tomorrow, my man.
I know.
That's good
So
stuff.
fucking pumped.
On that note,
Feels good.
tell us how you make your hi-hats.
Oh, my hi-hats.
At first, I thought you were talking to me. I
talk
was
about that
like,
earlier.
what?
Yeah. So, again, I pretty bad tinnitus. So as you guys know, so what I've been having to do with my hi-hat rhythms lately is, dude, I actually slow down. I slow down the tempo of the song
Okay.
like quite a bit, and then I pitch my
Okay.
hi-hats down like 13 semitones, and all I care about is the rhythm of it.
Wait, real quick. Can you just not
That's
hear
hilarious.
hi-hats? Like all of that high end? Do you just get like a little, just like,
He's lacking a lot of it.
I'm losing a lot of hi-hats. Tonality and hi-hats is really hard, and that's actually been like kind of a journey for me, because
crazy?
hi-hats are they can be super sick, you know, like a good
can be.
hi-hat versus like a shitty one, like a real
True.
like clean, nice, crispy, soft, or I guess aggressive hi-hat.
Sure.
So yeah, like it's been kind of funny how I've had to do them lately. At least while I'm making the song. Once I get to like the mixing and mastering stage, then I'll turn it up and I'll address how it actually sounds. But in terms of the programming and the general rhythm, all I'm going for is rhythm at this point.
Right, trying to figure it out.
So
look under the covers.
I'll pitch it down to where I'm like, this doesn't have any applicability in the song. And then I'll listen to it and it's just like, okay, I'm okay with like this rhythm section. Then I pitch it back up and like, let's mix it real quick.
Huh.
But I have to pitch it down and slow it down.
So crazy, yeah.
Interesting.
Dude, okay.
And then I'm like, all right, this rhythm. Dude, so when you guys
Bump
listen
it
to my
back up.
hi-hats a lot, you notice that the rhythms, like, first of all, they're not overused because I can't spend a lot of time
Right,
on them. I don't hear them that well.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's so funny for me. Every time you're like, I don't hear him. Funny for me.
It's a terrifying
Yeah, it's terrible.
laugh that you're having for
yeah,
yourself
I'm
because you're
terrified.
like,
Yeah, I'm
shit,
terrified.
that sounds awful.
Yeah. But also, you
Comes
make
out in a giggle.
you make do, which is crazy. Like your hi-hats sound good.
Yeah, and again,
That's what's
with
crazy.
the style, you layers.
You make it work.
Yeah, you make it work. So I pitch them down. All I care about at the beginning is the rhythm of it.
Right.
And then once it's the rhythm, and usually everything I kind of find is somewhat of a weird advantage, at least in the music that I make and my workflow. Where it's just like, okay, it's very intentional, like the rhythmic section, because I'm not going to I don't have 20 hi-hats. I don't have 5 hi-hats. Like we're going to have 3 maybe. So it's like, all right, we're relying on the groove.
Right.
We're relying on the groove.
Right. You have to. Yeah. You have to structure the song in a way where it's not leaning on hi-hats. The hi-hats. Are
And then if it is leaning on hi-hats,
least of
it's
the
leaning
issue.
on a change in rhythm and flow of the arrangement of them.
right.
It's not
right.
leaning on like additional noises. It's like, let's go from like quantized 16ths to like a hard swing where it slows down at like the triplet level.
Sure.
Or it's just like the big kind of changes. It leads
Right.
to like a more macro kind of change. And yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Right. They add to another change in the song. Like it's pointing towards the bass changing as opposed to like looking at.
Or it's like a
hi-hats.
complete rhythmic change. So
right,
like,
which helps point towards something else.
Exactly.
As opposed, it kind of takes your ear away from the hi-hats.
But I kind of find that is like the key to almost like every component of a song, like especially when
Sure.
you like change things where it's just like, that's why you filter out or filter into like bass
Yep.
noises
Yep.
or like a turnaround. It's kind of the
Yep.
same thing. And then hi-hats, if you think
Transfer
about it,
of energy.
I know you guys love hi-hats. I don't mean to like talk shit about them in like any way, but like to me like hi-hats are at least how I use them, it's definitely like a rhythmic component as opposed to you love your fucking hi-hats.
I love my hi-hats too, but it's still just a rhythmic component.
I'm not
just-
like a fucking major hi-hat person.
Yeah.
I'll put plenty of them.
But I don't use hi-hats you can't hear. You'll definitely notice in my songs, a lot of people have like ghost hi-hats or like just kind of weird hi-hats that like add like 10K like sizzle. I get 10K sizzle from like group processing on the drum brush
Sure.
as opposed to like at the
sure.
hi-hat level.
That's just different flavors of like your production.
Yeah.
At that point, like that's,
Exactly.
That's
So
what
that's where I get
separates
the
us.
sizzle up top.
Right.
But the hi-hats, like I can hear hi-hats. But like very quiet hi-hats. Sometimes hi-hats are used somewhat minimally. And it's kind of like layers to like snares and kicks, especially when they're like kind of on the grid.
Right. The way I heard it from my audiologist, the audio doctor, is like technically you can still hear all those sounds up high. It just takes more energy to activate those cells in your ears so that you can hear it at the volume that we hear it.
That it's like a filter. Like they're
Basically.
still there,
Like
but
a
they're
filter.
just down.
They're
there.
just down.
It's
Right.
exactly
right.
like a filter.
Right.
So if we're listening
exactly.
to it now, like
Interesting.
They're just they're just phased out slightly.
Oh,
but
I
they're
always
still there.
thought you literally just like that like frequency was just gone forever.
No, it's just
It's not
it
on and
takes,
off.
Because there's about, I can't remember what you said, but there's like 20 to 50 hairs per frequency or something crazy. There's
Whoa.
like, it's a ridiculous spiral of fucking piano hairs, basically. It looks like a circular piano.
We should look that up after the pod.
It's
I'm
wild.
so curious.
And yeah, you basically hear in chords. So like as
I
you
wanna see
lose
that.
frequency, it's losing
No, I'm in.
those chords or those notes in a chord. You can still hear the chord, or the
Yeah.
root note, but it's like you're just start losing the little bits of it, and it takes more energy to activate them. Yeah, but
Also, I just had a weird thought that I think probably does not matter at all. But
Right.
you went to the audiologist, and they showed you a graph of how your ears hear sound. And of course, everybody's ears are going to have like a slightly different graph. I wonder if specific graphs would tend to lead to a better producer or better artist or better mixer kind of thing.
Like the way the graph is measured, or like
the way your ears just hear sound.
Oh, I see.
I'm using the graph as an example.
Well,
like your
yes.
ears hear specifically this,
That's-
right? Let's say like outside of like hearing loss, like everybody's just pure ear form. Like you're gonna have like a different level, and it makes me think like, is Skrillex? I mean, obviously he's not, but like, what is Skrillex's graph, and like, does that have any play on like his popularity?
One to boast your bubble.
Boost my bubble.
Boost. Everybody's got like different shaped ear canals. Like mine take like a weird 90.
Yeah, you have like
and shit. Like it's like does like weird shit, which might help like focus certain areas, like maybe or something like that. But to burst your bubble, there's no way to measure it like that because it's all biased. Like you're sitting in a room and you're letting her know when you hear a frequency, and we're not doing it 20,000 times. Like she took 20 bleep bloops,
like a relative
between
range
250 and 8,500K.
Totally.
So it's like a really like you'd have to sit in there forever, and then you'd have to beyond that. You'd have to not leave it up to the user to tell you when they hear a frequency. You'd have to have diodes on your brain so they can measure, the brain is actually hearing that frequency check. As opposed to like, because I could have imagined I heard one of those, and maybe I didn't. So maybe it's skewed. You know, like I did my best, but like there's no way, like you'd have to do a really intensive test to like really see how your ear is hearing it, because otherwise it still has to filter through your brain.
Assuming you could do a really, really good test, I would say that if you have very, very, very good hearing, you should be able to be a better mixer.
In general, yeah.
But you can just make a better decision based off of experience.
Correct.
That's true.
Well, yeah,
If you don't have the experience, you're not going to be a better mixer just because you can hear more.
Yeah.
Yes. Right?
Like-
It's all
yes.
based off of.
Yes, you still need the 10 years.
But
my
also,
ears aren't that great as far as just like response goes,
or hearing or whatever, yeah.
just like hearing. But
you've trained them.
Yeah,
You've
I've
trained
trained them. I know how to look for things.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm going to be better than all yo asses. But like, even if you have a better fucking hearing receiving quality, I'm still going to be better than you because I've spent more time.
Right. And
Yeah.
That's kind of my thing.
Like-
I don't think it's like it's you hear the full spectrum, therefore you make better decisions. You have to learn to make the
You
right
still have
decision.
to learn it.
Yes. And
Right.
that's something
And that's what fucking takes so long.
Right.
it takes
Yes.
so
And that's
long.
taste also.
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
factor, is just your ears in general as a muscle. And this is one thing I brought up to the
I thought you were gonna
audiologist
say
too.
male versus female, but go on.
No, but for sure. I brought this up to the audiologist, and she kind of confirmed to the point of just like her gut feeling about it is I'm like, I wonder if because I've been training my ears and because I've been like basically at the gym every day for my ears for the last 8 years,
You think they've gotten better?
that I've like honed in. So I've kind of like shelved my
Right,
high
right.
end, even though I've
Yeah,
listened
you think
to
you've actually
grinders
boosted?
and I've listened to saws on ear protected and I've listened to loud concerts. But since I've done all this, I've kind of like manually shelved my high end back up, and similar to you,
Dude, I can feel high frequencies.
right. You can kind of like your brain can kind of like turn up and just shelve that high end a little bit.
It figures out a way
Right.
to hear it
Right. I don't know what it does, but it figures out a way. And
Right.
if you
because you need it.
you're in the gym, if you're in the gym every day and fucking working out, like your ear is gonna pick up on that.
Sure.
That puts in work.
Yeah, God bless computers for visualization.
That too.
If we were back in the 70s and I had to be like, you hear that? I'm just like,
I bet if you sat behind a console long enough, you would. I bet it'd be about the same.
I feel like
I bet you'd see the meter and you're like, yeah, that's 4K getting that meter to dance. I bet you'd know.
Oh, there's a way.
Yeah, there's a way
to see
way.
it.
Yeah,
still.
there's a way. I swear
4K
to God.
making a meter dance is actually a nice little thing.
Yeah, I swear to God. If you like high
If you're not
pass it,
clipping like we do.
right, and you high pass it up above where you like know you're not going to hear a lot, and you're still seeing a dance, you're like, yeah, that's 4K. There's no way. It's a vocal happening with a Rhodes. I know the Rhodes sitting below the vocal sitting 4K or whatever. Like, you just get experience and you just know. This is the same way my dad can just like look at a wall and know the studs are 16 and center based on like the year it was built, the width of the drywall,
Right.
the fucking
Looking
type
at the
of
door.
paint, the door, like where the outlets are. Like there's just little things you just pick up on that you're just like, oh no, I know exactly what's happening.
Speaking of clipping, you going hard with that yet? Or you guys
Always.
clipping the master or anything these days?
Clip everything.
I clip
Yeah.
What are you talking
Yeah.
about? Clipping
I've
the
been
master
clipping the
since I was in
masters.
diapers.
That's the new steez. It seems like.
At
Dude,
least-
it's so good.
Oh
It's
no,
so
we're
good.
not clipping the master.
I mean, I'll
I
soft
have been
clip
lately.
the
But you're clipping
pre-master.
the groups. Clipping.
we're clipping.
Yeah.
Are you
Not-
are you clipping
not
at the master?
using the DAWs
No,
clipping.
yeah.
Are you clipping at the master?
Yeah.
Yeah, with like a multi-band.
Oh,
clipper,
I see what you're
but-
saying now. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
not pushing the master into the red.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Well, you don't. The thing behind that in Ableton, like you have to resample it. It only gets like the peaks get in. It only turns into
Correct.
true clipping once you resample it. You're not just like exporting from a clip master. Although that probably still work.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But
That's interesting.
there is a thing where like there's a new video. I don't know if you've seen it.
No,
Mr. Bill talking about that.
Mr.
The
Bill and
32
Gage
bit?
came up with it
You
together.
talk about
They-
it?
Like
Okay,
they like I learned it at the same.
I
I learned about it when they
Figured.
learned about it.
right. Okay. And yeah, we kind of like looked into that and we're like, that's just.
I was just like,
just
nah.
do normal things.
I'll
guys.
just
calm
clip.
down.
I will just clip
It's another.
it with a clipping plugin.
What clipping plugin do you guys use?
I use M Wave Shaper.
Wave Shaper.
Wave Shaper's good.
Or just Ableton Saturator.
Ableton
Honestly,
Saturator is good. Also, there's some
sounds
good.
so
Or
there-
Bitwig Saturator.
there's some-
Bitwig saturation
does
is
the
what I
exact
use.
same thing.
Yeah.
There's some good
Dude,
clippers
the
though.
Bitwig's one sounds
Yeah,
really
I mean,
good.
I
Bitwig
love
one's great.
Yeah.
M Wave Shaper just because I know what I'm looking at now. I'm like really good with that plugin. I'm fast. I know exactly. I have presets made.
Nice.
I'm fucking. It does exactly what I need.
What are your
to.
presets made for it?
It's not presets made in it. It's racks I've made in Bitwig, like a multi-band
Okay.
clipper, mid-side clipper, a fucking
Yeah, because Bitwig's like master
two
channel might not
channel.
use the same algorithm where it like naturally clips off. And,
yeah.
like, a hard
And I
clipper on that.
don't fuck with any of that.
I think
Like,
it does.
I do it in a
Dude,
more
that-
classical.
Like a similar thing.
That technique also doesn't work unless you use like a certain type of gain staging. Like it really only works if you're like kind of mixing to like -6 to -3. Like what I can mix into a clipper, but like I mix my drums and my projects are mixed the same way. Like my kick and snare hitting
Same.
at -6, everything else at like -12, -18, like kind of increments of that. And that's when I find the clipper works. Like if that song's not like mixed well, like you can't go straight into a clipper. But it is a
Well,
good, it is
sure.
a good clipper to resample.
But that's also why I use a clipper, like for example, on the master or the pre-master to like push into to just see what's happening in the mix.
clippers are
It's
sick,
always
man.
just a quick
It's
way to be like, oh, my kick's too loud.
It's just, dude, that shit's just so funny to me that the first 4 years of my music production was just like everybody just don't clip.
I know.
Clip.
And
It's
now
like,
clippers,
fucking
everybody's
lie.
clip.
and like
I
compressor.
know, right?
And now it's
know.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought compressors
Clippers.
were good. I actually
Yeah.
thought compressors
Yeah.
were underused. Like what I hate is when people don't use a compressor fully. Like to me, like if I'm compressing something, the compressor is always active. Like it's always compressing, you know? Like it's not just I don't use a compressor to tame peaks. And some people may. That's just not like how I learned how to use compressors, and not that I learned is the right way or anything. But it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
compress the shit out of everything, limit the shit out
you
of
like to
everything.
get
Yeah.
groove off the compressor is what you're saying.
So if I'm compressing, I'm
Like
usually
heavy
doing,
compression.
okay, if
Right,
I'm
to get
compressing,
the
it's probably
pump.
heavy compression. I'm never compressing to tame peaks. If I'm taming peaks, I'm using clipping or limiting.
Yeah.
And that's what's sick. Like,
Or-
there's no right or wrong way to do any of this. They're all just
Yeah.
tools. And
No,
there's like
for
a
sure.
way that like
It's-
people use them
Right.
to get good results. But like
Right.
at the end of the day, fucking
Like you could
do
use
whatever the fuck you want.
you can use a crescent wrench to make sure a toilet's tight
Yeah.
to its seal.
Or
you can also use a crescent
Put a
wrench
nail in a wall.
to put a nail in a wall.
You can take your power drill to hammer in nails.
Correct.
You know, use the bottom. Just
I've done
destroy
that
it.
before.
Yeah,
Sure.
Definitely
Plenty
do
of
that.
It'll work.
gets the draft down.
You
Yeah.
might break that boundary, but
I use compression like just when it seems like the clipping is not doing what I want it to do. And then I just grab a compressor and try and like I feel like I usually need to make it less dynamic.
right,
And that's what I
right.
use a compressor for.
Correct.
And then I will clip it from there.
Yep.
So I use the compressor for less
Is it a
dynamics
full
usually.
squeeze compressor where like everything's going into it, or like
You go full squeeze, Dave.
yeah,
full
because
squeeze it?
like
I'm talking
in
about
terms of
on a
ratio?
sound.
Are you talking about ratio? Full squeeze, or are you talking about like
I'm talking gain. So you know how like something can like barely like touch a compressor's threshold,
right?
or like you're breaking through it. And
Right,
you can
right.
control
You're
dynamics where like low and high.
sinking
Like,
it.
yeah,
You're sinking it in.
yeah, like that's
I'm-
what
it's
I meant by
biting.
that.
highly dependent.
Yes, super.
I know it's highly
Basically,
dependent. There's not
I
one-
just want to make it less dynamic. Like
yeah, exactly.
it's literally that.
It's
Like how
exactly-
much less dynamic I need, I'll just do that amount. But that's just like on a sound level. Other than that, compressors they get used on groups.
Yeah, my
Big
new
groups.
I agree.
Usually.
You do the main compression I do. I fucking handle that volume manually. Like I'm with you. I'm
right.
with you.
My
Like, it usually gets
my mode at this point is the compressor. At most part, if it's going early, it's going to be on a vocal. If anything else, like I'm going to design it so it might not need a compressor for the most part, and I'm not going to know when I need compression generally until I have the whole song filled in terms of all the sonic things. Because like my new mode, this is my new mode where if I get everything in there, I just level it, and then once everything's leveled correctly, then it should inform me as to what needs to be compressed and what's kind of too dynamic in the group of everything together. And if it's too dynamic, compress it down so it matches everything else's dynamic range, and then you can kind of compress them together. But for the most part, the levels and saturation should do everything for you. And you should be able to compress to push things farther back into the mix, or less compress them or expand them to put them in the front of the mix.
I
And
took
then-
things away in the mix different than you guys do. When you guys
Yeah.
showed me compression, I was just like, ooh, that's interesting. I never
Yeah.
like did that before.
It's a fun way, and especially if nothing's compressed, and then you just use one compressor on one thing to like push it back into the mix without auto gain. It's like really obvious that that thing is compressed and nothing else is.
Because I would
it's
tuck
really
things,
weird.
I would tuck things back with like EQs, like shells.
Right. Don't
know?
try
Yeah.
everything dry as fuck. Everything just
Yeah.
leveled, and then you can use.
Well,
a
I've done
compressor.
it. You guys told me about it on this podcast.
That's just
yeah.
wild. It's weird. I've been using compression less and less.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Honestly,
It's very,
yeah,
it's
same.
very, 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 very bizarre.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
way. That's why it's
It
being
is
like
so
full
weird.
squeeze, where it's just like that's
no
when I
idea
can
what's
get.
happening.
That's when I can get the flavor of a compressor. That's why I like it.
Right,
I call
right.
it full squeeze. Like
Full
when it's
I
like,
love
right.
full squeeze.
Yeah, I go
But
full
it
squeeze.
makes sense when
That's
nothing.
where it's just like okay, like it's this is a layer to
When
it.
nothing else is
Yeah,
compressed
yeah.
and you have something else that's pumping, shit sounds cool. Like shit's all moving all over the place, different from everything else. Like it's gonna have a fucking weird ass vibe. It's the contrast there, and it just fucking feeds greatness at that point.
Yeah.
I can't believe people watch this shit to listen to it. Us talk about full squeeze,
Full,
but
They don't. They don't.
Yeah. It's good. I mean, dude, people are missing out.
But I will say
Learn
the
about
best
full
way,
squeeze.
the best way
Okay.
to control dynamics is to have no dynamics. Transient shaper into a clipper. Let's wrap this bitch up. Folks, that's episode 96.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Don't
In
forget,
Lakesh. Shout out, buddy. Thanks for showing up.
yeah, thanks for hanging out in
Also,
Lakesh
this
for the last
weird
5
guy,
minutes.
Asian Adele, Aznadel. Whoever
Asian
the fuck
Adele.
he is in chat has been super
Yeah.
annoying.
No one knows.
I think he's
who that
releasing a
is.
new track soon with Fuckhouse, though.
Yeah.
Shout out that. Shout out each and every one of you guys. Thanks for hanging
We
out.
appreciate you. We love you.
All you cocksuckers.
All you cocksuckers.
Hit that sub button with your cock that you've been sucking on.
Oh.
Don't forget to wipe off your fucking keyboard afterwards.
We get aggressive when you get here, Vic. You bring something out of us.
I didn't do anything. David's
Vic-
talking shit to our first guest.
Where can people find you?
NE, the letters, Heights, HEIGHTS, music, on all platforms.
Word.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Any Heights, baby. He's a legend.
He is a legend.
He literally
N.E.
has
Heights.
NE Heights. It's in the Vic.
It's in the game.
He has the heavyweight belt for being on this podcast the most.
It's true.
It's hung up in his studio.
All right, folks. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Much love.
Bye.